on, guys? Alan here from Blend Logic. I got Don and Asa. Is that right?
Asa, yeah.
Yeah, we am out in Atlanta on the DNA Sports Talk. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I literally just got a Vibe ride, and I saw you guys did an interview with them earlier, so
Yes.
that was pretty cool. That's actually I reached out to you guys because I was checking out their social media, and I saw what you guys were doing. I saw you guys were crushing it on YouTube, 12,000 followers. So, do you want to just give a little intro about both of you guys for the audience, for those of you not familiar with DNA Sports Talk, and just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
I'm Don, DNA. Originally from Columbus, Georgia. Been in the Atlanta area going on close to 20 years now. Love sports, talking about sports.
I'm Asa, the A in DNA. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. Same, been in Atlanta now 20 plus years, and just have a passion of talking junk with some facts in there, you know what I mean, about sports, so it's always a good time.
Awesome. So a lot of what I like bringing up for my viewers or for the content is like the original story and also like kind of the motivation for doing what you guys do. So I know we spoke earlier on the phone, you were saying that you were in computers and you do this every Monday on the side, but do you want to give some, I guess, insight into, I guess what they call it, the side hustle or whatnot?
The side hustle, yeah.
Yeah.
I do IT for a living, but the side hustle's coming more and more the real hustle now. But
Yeah.
It started with, my best friend married his cousin, and so we were in a wedding together. But we had seen each other around, but didn't know if I could trust this guy. But, but he was in the same locations I was in, so I said, okay, got to be something to it. But it started from that weekend, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
And we would sit around and talk sports, and you mentioned a quarterback, like he got to be like 8 for 9 and 100 yards, and the commentator said, the man just went 7 for 9 for 99 yards, and we kid about the place being bugged everywhere we went, but there had to be something to it.
Yeah.
And that's how things started. And then I'll let you say how Demetrius came along.
Yeah, so I mean, literally, we were at a one shout out to One Music Fest. We were at I was at one of the early festivals.
Okay.
And then we have a mutual friend who, I seen him behind stage. So I was like, man, he had press passes. So I'm like, what you doing? Because that wasn't his, day-to-day job either.
Okay.
And so he just happened to mention to me, he was like, there's a Smash Mouth FM. It's an internet radio. Matter of fact, out of Ohio.
Okay.
Sorry, Ohio, with Cleveland. And so basically, I just, he made mention to me about them, wanting to expand their roster, their itinerary, their viewership.
Yeah.
And just based on conversation that we have had, and like I said, everywhere we would go, whether it be a sports bar or at somebody's house or whatever, we would always, just talk sports and have in-depth conversations or whatever. And like you said, the running joke was where we went, the house was bugged. Because we would sit around and say a few things, and right on cue, 2 minutes later, it would without having an earpiece in, exactly.
Right.
So he mentioned about hey, you want to try something. So I ran back to him and was like, hey man, there's a opportunity. You want to try it? And it was like, well, why not? Like,
because we had kicked around the idea before, but it never was a reality until that opportunity. Until that opportunity came along.
Okay. So before that, for the viewers, because I've already spoken with you before, you guys were doing the internet radio. So you want to talk more on that, like, how did that come up, or what was the schedule for that, or how much were you guys putting content out for that?
We were one-stop shop.
Yeah.
One-stop shop, basically. Mm-hmm. I mean, we learned how to work the board. We learned how to interact on the microphone.
Yeah.
You know, and we learned how to coordinate call, like just everything that the engineer does now, we were doing on our own.
Okay.
So
At the kitchen table.
Yeah,
like literally at a kitchen table.
Yeah. So in his living room. So,
Right. In the living room. Right.
Okay.
So it you know it was hey, but it was fun. So we started off doing an hour. And we quickly realized the slot that we had was an hour. And we literally was going into like an hour and 15, an hour and 30 minutes or whatever.
Okay.
So that's how we wound up, you know.
Because we want to be the last word before Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
That's originally why we chose that slot.
Yeah.
So from 7 to 8, we want to be that last thing you see and hear before Monday Night Football.
Predictions and all that kind of stuff. So
and as you mentioned,
it spilled into.
Still right.
You know, so you know, we learned, you know, how to music into our shows. We learned, you know, like I said, just everything we do now that we have an engineer, we were doing on that. We learned to do on our own. So
that's sick.
you know, so not only, you know, did we learn something, but at the same time, like I said before, we was always having fun.
We had our bumps and bruises.
Yeah.
Trying to get callers on the line.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
How did you guys get your first call? What was like the?
Who was the first caller?
That's a good trivia question. We won't tell the answer because we got to go look it up.
I gotta go look it up. Yeah, who was the first caller?
I think it was basically family and friends calling in the first few times. But it wasn't until later on that.
I mean, actually,
other people started calling.
Yeah, I'll be honest. You know, we learned how to. You know, we learned early that we wanted to be, you know, a family show as well. Mm-hmm. So you know, we didn't realize it, but we had people. I think people came to you was like, hey, you know, kind of be aware of what your content is, because my son or my daughter likes to listen. So we learned quickly that, you know, there's a lot of power with the microphone. There's a lot of power, you know, with the media content. So you know, we made a decision early, you know, to be like
FCC compliant, basically.
Yeah. So you know, if this goes further, and you know, we want to maybe give studio clips and stuff like that. We didn't want to limit ourselves to or box ourselves into only a certain group of individuals, whether it be, you know, family or whatever the case may be. So we learned a lot of stuff, you know, how to adjust quickly, you know, and whatnot. And I still believe
how to censor yourself quickly.
Exactly. How, you know, how to not turn certain things off and turn it back on. But I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, even with that, we learned that you know, what Periscope allows us to, you know, kind of be one way live on air, but then also to give people an insight on how we do things off the air as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Behind the scenes. So you know, technology allows a lot of different things. I was about to say, I know I still believe ESPN had people following us because, like, literally, we would put stuff out, and I'd be like, "Oh man, go back and look at that
what they just said
tweet
the next
from
day.
2 days ago, and then look at what they saying. It'd be word for word almost like."
That's crazy.
So you know, I mean, but they probably doing the same thing that everybody else is doing.
Yeah,
you know, looking for content, looking for certain things or whatever.
Curating,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess I want to segue that question. I think a lot of DMs I've gotten from people asking, it's you know, more or less on the lines of like trying things out versus like going for your passions. Because I hear you guys speaking, and I could tell, you know, you guys are into sports, 100% passion.
Yeah.
Have you guys tried like other side hustles, and then like when you finally realize like, okay, maybe I just need to do what I'm.
You talking about, have I ever used Amway and sold Amway before?
I know. Prime America Insurance.
Herbalife, Slim Tea.
What was the cell phone?
I
the
didn't say
ACN?
Right. Yes, I used to sell Slim Tea. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't necessarily say that, but just in general, like, you know, because like I think a lot of times, I guess when I find people like first starting out, or like for example, I do like Facebook ads and all that stuff. It's like there's a big barrier between they're not really sure if they want to do it or not, or if they're just dabbling versus like what would you say if like if you just go for your passions?
Yeah.
It's like
I think with us, this was already a passion before. I mean, this started just, as we mentioned, sitting around talking about sports on a regular basis to where we just needed the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
That was already there. Other things that we've done in the past, like I mentioned, I'm in IT, speak to you, doing real estate.
Real estate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where the benefits are paid, but this is the passion. This is what we do
Okay.
in sports.
Yeah. So you guys talked about, the opportunities that came from, I guess, starting with internet radio and stuff like that. What would you guys say in from your experience is like kind of the biggest moment where you're like, whoa, I would have never been able to get this without setting up what I've done before. If that makes sense.
Tommy Smith, the Olympian,
1968.
68, right, 1968 Olympian. Being able to have him do an hour-long interview on the show that no one up to date has just had an interview with him more than 5 or 6 minutes because he really doesn't do interviews.
Yeah.
And for that to happen, for him to be that comfortable to call in and talk for a solid hour, we can say no one in history has that type of coverage.
Yeah.
So that was the aha moment. Living in Atlanta, you see people all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you kind of get immune to seeing certain individuals.
Stars, though, in Atlanta, stars aren't.
Yeah,
We don't care about stars.
Okay.
Like, especially when, like in the entertainment side. Like, when I say we don't care, it's like if you're from here, like we've been here 20 plus years, but if you're from here and Atlanta is, basically kind of the Hollywood of the South.
Yeah.
Most folks have gone to school with these, individuals. If not high school to college,
right.
So the degree of separation from one person to the other is not that. It's really smaller in this city than probably in some other cities. So, being starstruck is not. That's It's cool. Don't get me wrong.
You can see Julio at Publix.
Yeah,
It's not.
Yeah, you're in the right neighborhood.
Right.
That's Matter of fact, most folks you probably be like, I think that's so and so. That's how often people just walk past them. So like I was standing behind Dr. J a couple of days ago at the Chick-fil-A on Piedmont.
Oh, really?
And no one cared in Chick-fil-A. Like, literally, everybody was like, I need my food and ready to go to work. Like, it was like,
it's Chick-fil-A.
It's Chick-fil-A, you know what I mean? So, the starstruck in Atlanta is a unique scene here in Atlanta as far as how that goes.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. Another thing I wanted to ask you guys, so where do you see, moving forward in terms of you guys are already doing Periscope, and for other people trying to grow their exposure, grow their reach, what is it for you guys moving forward in terms of like, what was the next steps, or what do you guys have?
For us, or to give advice to somebody? Both?
Both, yeah.
Which part you want?
Pick one, I'll pick the other.
The advice part I'll pick.
Okay.
Is just be yourself.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's not too many formats you can do. When I say as far as you can have a 3-panel, a 2-panel, a 1-panel. You know what I mean? But 4-panel or 5. But for radio and TV and whatnot, you're limited to that scenario.
Yeah.
So the only thing that makes you different from the next person is you actually being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So and people can tell easily, whether you're genuine or you're not.
Okay.
So just my advice is to be yourself. Find out what that niche is. It's gonna take some. It's gonna take some playing around with.
Yeah.
But then once you find it, you hone in on it. Then just be true to yourself with it.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that is by us being ourselves and not trying to fit a particular format or do something that someone else has done has allowed us to move from internet to AM and hopefully maybe FM. I mean, FM is starting to see the restrictions sometimes that you can put, but I mean, it's still a move up, or even XM.
Yeah.
But the content, like going to your point, us keeping our content, being true to ourselves, is how we will eventually move to the next level. Maybe television, based off of your interview and having people see this.
Okay.
So we want our show.
Remember these faces. We don't want to TO you.
Right.
We want our first ballot.
Right, I know. But being true to the content, one of the things that we realized starting off was everybody talked about football, basketball, and some baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So our niche was, well, let's go NASCAR, let's go hockey, let's go golf, let's go tennis, let's go lacrosse, let's go soccer.
Yeah.
People talk about those things.
Yeah.
So let's embrace that. Let's read up on it. Let's do the research. Let's go to these matches, these games, so that we can be knowledgeable about it and talk about it. Because we didn't want to limit a small sample size by only talking about the major 3 sports.
You hear that all day.
Yes, but
Niche
let's
down,
our niche is we discuss all sports across the board.
Yeah.
And if it's something that even horse racing, we're talking about Justify winning the Triple Crown. So if there's a sport, we're going to talk about it.
And I think we also try to bring it back to just what goes on in everyday life.
Right.
So I mean, sports is parallel with life.
Yeah.
You can look at sports and then kind of apply it to business. I mean, it is a business. But I'm talking about you can apply it to just even in your office. You got a head coach, you got a manager. You got a coordinator, you got an assistant head coach. You know what I mean? So certain
Teammates,
things,
working well with others.
Yeah. So it's
how to deal with resolving resolutions.
Yeah. So it's we can make it relate. Any kind of way. But again, that's something that we do.
And the main thing coming out the gate was to be interactive.
Yeah.
A lot of times, when we started that with Smash Mouth and FM and being able to chat while we were on air and respond back.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings in the Periscope side where we can visually see
Somebody
your
asking
questions
something.
and your comments and then respond back immediately. Because a lot of people don't like to call in for whatever reason. Some do, some don't. But the keyboard courage. The keyboard courage. I can be quote unquote anonymous and say whatever I want to say, but and respond back in the same manner.
Okay. I guess something that came up is I guess when you're first starting out or putting your content out there, did you guys have any haters? And what do you say to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we like that though. I mean, we get.
You guys deal
That feels good.
Yeah, I'm about to say that means we arrive.
Right.
We get you get people that call in and they want a prank call, or we've had a couple of people that have called in and have said some not so nice things, or have tried to.
In Periscope as well,
I mean, but that means you're paying attention. That's
That's good.
Yeah, it's I mean, we say things. That's what we bring out, like what's going on now with the national anthem and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get everybody to agree with you.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we probably had more heated arguments about Jordan and LeBron or Jordan and Kobe than that. But I mean, there are certain things that hit a nerve with people.
Yeah.
And it should, and that's what
because that's everyday life.
So but it's fine. It's good. Glad you're listening. Glad you're tuning in. Glad you take the time out to
send your hate.
To send your hate. I mean,
That's good. You just brush off because I guess with the clients I coach with, a lot of them are just starting out, and I always tell them it's better to get negative press or negative reactions than you put something out there and no one sees it.
Yeah,
exactly. And so it's just keep on putting content out, putting your best self forward, and then when you do get the haters, it's like a milestone, and just treat it as.
But you don't want to put out shock stuff because shock stuff only lasts 1 or 2 times, and then after that, people tune you out. But if it's genuine and it's real content and how you feel,
that's the key word is genuine. Like I said, just be yourself. If you're an ingenuous person or a disingenuous person, then be disingenuous. But then be disingenuous consistently. You know what I mean? That's why then we won't know. You know what I mean? But you can't be. You can't play on both sides of the road. Or so.
Okay. So another thing, I guess, just advice for potential viewers, anyone listening, when you're just starting out, what would you guys recommend? I guess in sports, because a lot of I guess the people I'm targeting are people growing their fitness channels, growing their basketball channels, stuff of that nature. What would you guys recommend for them? I guess in one part putting your own content out, and then in another part, I guess embracing the passion and the side hustle and the work it takes.
It is a lot of work, and we were talking earlier about the young lady, Ellis at USC, who was 100 meters behind and came back and won. Okay. You don't give up. I mean, that's the consistency part. We've been doing this for over 5 years now. And after year one, you're kind of figuring things out. Like you're saying, you're messing up, you're figuring things out. Between years 2 and 3, that's the grind. Mm-hmm. Because you still got, for most people starting off, you still got your full-time job. Mm-hmm. And you're doing this. Now this is no longer becoming a side. It's becoming full-time too. Mm-hmm. So it's finding the balance between those two things. And that's when you really want to give up. And you're going to feel that. Mm-hmm. But pushing through and, still, you got to have fun with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If it's something you do, you enjoy it, you have fun, and that allows you to get to years 4 or 5, and hopefully for us, many more to come.
Yeah. Okay, so you have anything to add?
Everything he said. everything he said. So, or don't be afraid to be recognized. So, I think sometimes people are afraid of success. I've heard, people say you afraid of your success. Don't be afraid of the success. Mm-hmm. So, what we were doing, we was picking up a generator. We were going to do a Braves game at Home Depot.
Okay.
And the guy was like, I seen y'all.
Right.
I'm like, huh?
Right.
He's like, I did the interview with Shawty Lowe, who's no longer with us. But we were like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just.
You never know.
You don't know, like
who's
you say,
watching,
you don't know who's watching. You don't know the power of the microphone. You don't know the power of the screen.
Yeah.
And the content is always there. So like you said, you can go to YouTube. It's always there. So so don't be afraid of the success. Don't be afraid to have some random people walk up on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if they don't, they'll look. So don't be afraid of your brand. Don't.
Yeah. And you got a brand. Be visible with your brand. Mm-hmm. Put it out there. Wherever you go, how to be seen and put it in the forefront. It always goes back to the American Gangster line, where you might not know the CEO of Pepsi,
but you know
that logo.
You know the bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
So whether you see our faces or not,
yeah.
if you see the logo, you like, hey, yes, then that's what happened.
Yeah.
He saw the shirt and was like, yeah, I've seen you before.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. You might not remember the name, but at least you're going to see the brand.
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Okay.
So embrace it.
Yeah.
Embrace your success or your success to come. Right. Embrace it.
Well, what would you guys say is like the number one thing starting out that helped you guys succeed, or one trait you guys would
know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So research.
Just know what you're talking about. Whatever it is, know what you're talking about. If you're a cook, then you don't necessarily have to go to culinary school, but know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. But that still goes back to, again,
not to put sugar on your grits and put salt. That was one of those debates of what to put on your grits.
Syrup all day.
Right.
It's a Carolina thing. Cheese. But know your content.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna know everything. Mm-hmm. Not perfect. You know what I mean? But know it. Be confident with it. Know what you're talking about, and everything else should fall into place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you guys mentioned like you had to learn all this stuff and the sound engineering and stuff like that. Like, what is the thing that pushed you guys to push past not knowing all this stuff?
It was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun. Like, learning stuff is fun.
Right.
It was fun. It literally, honestly, like, it's still the fastest 2 hours of my day.
Uh-huh.
You know, so the engineers like 3 minutes, like, damn, we just
started.
started. We
minutes
just
ago.
got into it. It felt like we just started 15 minutes ago, and 2 hours is up.
Yeah.
So it's fun. So
Every Monday night,
7 to
7 to
9.
9. Eastern Standard Time.
So just have fun with it. Just
Yeah.
you know, all the other stuff you'll figure out. You know, if I won't say we did it the long way, but you know,
Possible.
we for us that's how we you know. I mean, there are people now who we both have daughters. They know how to use a phone better. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they may not, you know, people out there may not have to learn to do a keyboard and all that kind of stuff. You know, so but you learn whatever the equipment is that you have. So you got to learn it, but. If what you're talking about again is your passion and you're having fun with it, all the other stuff is whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
Okay. Because I was just thinking of. I mean, even my sister, she was talking about making her start her blog and like vlogging for travel stuff, and a lot of pushback I get is like, oh, there's just too much to learn, and I always question, it's like, well, maybe you're not like really that passionate
about it.
about travel.
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta find whatever your niche is.
Yeah,
you know.
I always find that like if you really enjoyed something,
You figure it out.
do
Whatever
it takes.
Or you'll find an app that's easy enough for you to do what you want to do. There's a million apps out there, so you know, like
figure
I said,
that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I say, Periscope has been great because you don't have to take the engineering and everything in there.
Yeah.
Simply go on the app and you're able to broadcast and send it out through the masses to everyone. And once I saw Periscope being used by the NBA and the NFL, that let me know that it's here to stay for the foreseeable future. Of course, something else might come along, but for right now, it's a
Same
huge
thing with
media,
YouTube.
and YouTube is a huge media outlet.
Have you
that
guys
you can use.
considered going like Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or?
Facebook, it seems like people kind of gotten away from Facebook.
We
We're
kind of,
kidding.
we were talking earlier about, you know, if you wind up going to Facebook, maybe you phased out a little bit. I think just for our demographic, we still use Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, we use Facebook more as like a group chat setting.
Correct.
So it's still a use there.
But not so much live.
Not so much live.
Uh-huh.
Facebook doesn't allow you to use multiple media like Periscope. So like I can be on Periscope we can be on it on multiple devices at the same time. Whereas if I do a Facebook Live, I got to do it under me. If he does a Facebook Live, he has to do it. You know, we can't. It doesn't allow you to stream multiple scenarios under one umbrella.
Yeah.
It makes you separate it out. So it just doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
You know, in that sense. But we use it and it works in other senses, though.
Yeah.
So you know, we can still shoot things through Facebook and then tie it into, you know, Twitter and whatnot. We can, you know, still do things that way. Facebook works miracles for the football season.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we kind of see a lot of an influx of people
Mm-hmm.
onto the social media there, and then into basketball. But then we have to go to some other medias when it gets to NASCAR and some of the other sports. So it's not a
Periscope works better at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But again, that's homework.
So I actually didn't ask you guys. Do you guys get on time or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So I just wanted to make sure. So I guess another thing I want to ask you guys is, when you guys are like booking your shows, you know, what is the prospect area there, and in terms of you know what it is now versus when you guys were first starting out, like you know how with the hustle and reaching out to people to go on your show versus you know where it could come, like looking back on it.
Actual real people in the sports arena, you know what I mean? So I don't think we really had interviews. We had guest people when we first started off. Like we would, you know, people that would follow us and watch us, we would allow them to, you know, come on air and whatnot. So that was fun for them.
Yeah.
But now we're, you know, more professional. Is, you know, your criteria has to, you know, your background has to be involved in sports.
That's in some level.
Yeah.
Some level of sports.
Yeah. May not be an athlete, but
you don't have to be
an
an
athlete.
athlete,
But you guys have the show, and now
Yeah. Can't be selling peanuts and then want to come on the show.
No, Not unless you play with George Washington
Come,
Carver.
so but that's pretty much it. But I mean,
we
Don
found
could
that
tell you more.
everybody has a story,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that we try to get out of people who come on the show is there is something that has happened in your life, and this goes back to the basically the marriage of sports and everyday life
Yeah.
is that there's something somebody's going through that somebody needs to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So you telling your story, there's somebody listening that needs to hear that. And, it's kind of sad to bring up the two people we've lost in the last week through suicide, but, there's somebody dealing with something, whether it's giving up or whether it's how to work the hustle in the full time, or whether it's dealing with the aging parents or whatever the case, an illness or whatever. Somebody else is going through that right then and that point, and them hearing your story told by you, because you're the only one that can tell that story, can help them. So that's what we try to encourage anyone that comes on the show. We get into our debates, we have a good time, but tell your story. What was maybe difficult for you? And the other thing is for a lot of the athletes, we're quick to put them on the news for DUI and domestic violence and whatever else
negative.
they get caught negative. What are the foundations? What are you doing in the community? That's the things that never get talked about. So trying to make sure those things are brought to the forefront is another way of our niche of trying to not be the common everyday thing that you hear, because we're quick to berate them for months for being in the news for that. Yeah. But when it's only alleged and the charges are dropped, then it's a blip. Charges dropped, and you move on. Like, wait a minute, why don't we continue to say why these charges are dropped? How can we stop this? And how can we champion the things that particular person was doing in the community?
This is kind of meta, but going back to building on that interview train of thought, I guess one of the ways I'm doing this interview right now, but one of the ways that I've expanded is having my clients interview other people or doing interviews yourself. What would you get? You guys have probably interviewed what? Thousands?
No, hundreds
for sure. Hundreds for sure.
What is the best advice you would say on conducting an interview for anyone looking to add that to their repertoire or business? Like, what tips would you guys give?
Let them tell their story.
Let them speak.
Let them speak. Yeah.
Again, only they can tell their story, so let them speak.
Don't be afraid to rough them up a little bit. There's the ways of doing that.
There's ways of doing it.
You don't be rude or whatever, but there's only person we ain't rough up, and I don't know why we ain't rough him up. My man from New England, I played with Carolina, and then
Tyrone Poole.
Tyrone Poole. We should got more cheaters in there on that with him.
Yeah.
But we
was being so nice.
Exactly.
He was being too nice.
You reversed it on
right,
that. But just like I said, let them tell their story. They've been nice enough to say that they want to come on.
Yeah.
Then let them have it. We have a resident Okinawa Slim. We say when he's on, it's his show.
Yeah, really.
It turns into the Okinawa Slim show for an hour or whatever. But we let him have it. He comes on. He has he's a famous pool player, billiards player. Doesn't like to use the word pool. Billiards player. But Hall of Fame billiards player, and so
nominee.
We
gonna get him.
Well, he's Hall of Fame. He's Hall of Fame.
He's our Hall of Fame.
He's first ballot in our book.
Right.
But you let them have the platform at that point when you have individuals who have done it, especially athletes, or even Vibe Ride. You got businesses, you got individuals who have now started a business.
Yeah.
They've earned the right to Don's point, to tell their story.
Yeah.
So you let them tell their story.
So the last question I have for you guys, I'm formatting this, but the question is, if you had, I guess, 3 lists that you could leave to, your family, what are the 3 pieces of advice that you would give them that you wish you had done or moving forward? You take your time to think about it.
Don't spend the money I left. Nah.
Taking it with
say,
me.
say that $100.
Taking the card or not. I mean, just looking back in my life, don't be afraid to jump. Take the chance. If you're wrong, you're wrong. You got another day to make it right. And just be respectful. Be nice to people.
I like
It'll
that.
get you further than anything else.
Take care of your family and friends, because those are the ones that, when it gets rough, will be there, for you and help you through the process that you're going through. I'll say, if it's your passion, go for it, and make sure you stay true to yourself when you're doing it, because as we mentioned, people are going to see if you're not genuine about something. It's going to come through. It's going to show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a lot more work than what it's worth in that process. But, like we were saying, because we enjoy it, this is fun.
Yeah.
It's work, but it's fun. It's what you enjoy doing, because you're true to yourself and your content and what you're doing. And then lastly, enjoy it, because a lot of times you can get to where it's head down, head down, head down. I know I'm speaking to myself basically, but step back and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, guys.
One ride. Gonna get one ride. Might as well make it worth the
Put your
while.
token in.
All right, for anyone watching, made it this far, where can they find you? What's the best way to contact you guys?
You can find DNA Sports Talk on
Twitter,
DNA Sports Talk on
Instagram,
DNA Sports Talk on
Facebook,
DNA Sports Talk on
Snapchat.
Reach us directly.
DNAsportstalk@gmail.
Website
www.dnasportstalk.com.
All right.
Monday night 7 to 9.
WWE 1100 AM.
There you go. We haven't rehearsed that at all.
That was awesome, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Thank you for interviewing us.
I know, right? It was different being on this side of the table than that side. Yeah.